Hi, David Brett Williams here with the Honor the Grind podcast, the podcast where we recognize that it takes effort and hard work to achieve your dreams. Today, I'm covering tips for avoiding dementia as you age. In this podcast, I will outline the risks and risk factors of dementia and suggest several ways that you can reduce your risk of developing dementia. Aging is the most significant risk factor for dementia. While there is no changing that we will age, there are lots of things you can do to reduce your risk. And it is entirely up to you. Frankly, dementia scares me. My aunt on my mum's side suffered from it. I remember her from my childhood as a vibrant woman, a force of nature, caring and demonstrative, loudly demanding that you give her a proper hug. I don't remember visiting her when she was ill, but I remember how distressed my mum was that her sister failed to recognize her. My mum is 95 now and she's doing well. I mentioned her quite a few times in my work on superagers. She told me we're never too young to develop good habits. And I think midlife, that age between 40 and 64 years of age, is a great time to start making healthy choices. But I'm sure many of us are already doing so. What did you think of my definition of midlife? From 40 to 64 years old. I am just setting an expectation. Many life events happen during this period. Children move out. Health scares tend to occur, divorces happen, and menopause starts. For many, these act as a prompt to start living a healthier life. The key to adopting a healthier lifestyle is to build it into your regular daily routine. Get your friends and family to support you, or better yet, even join you. Let's talk about risk. A person's risk of developing a disease or condition is the chance that it will affect them over a specified period. We're all at some level of risk of developing dementia, but some of us have a higher or lower risk than others. For example, a typical 80-year-old woman is much more likely to develop dementia in the next 5 years than an ordinary 30-year-old woman. Let's talk about risk factor. A risk factor is anything that increases a person's risk of developing a condition. For dementia, there is a mixture of factors. Some are under our control and others that are really difficult to avoid. Having any of the risk factors does not mean a person will develop dementia in the future. Likewise, avoiding risk factors does not guarantee that a person will stay healthy, but it does make this more likely. You, no doubt, want to know the risk factors for dementia that you can't change. Aging is the big one. Age is the most influential known risk factor for dementia. It is possible to develop dementia before the age of 65, and at least 1 in 20 people develop it under that age. But the chances of developing dementia rise as we get older. From 65 years of age, a person's risk doubles roughly every 5 years. 1 out of 100 people aged 60 to 64 will have dementia. 3 out of 100 people aged 70 to 74 will have dementia. And 30 out of 100 people aged 90 to 94 will have dementia. This may be due to certain factors associated with aging, such as higher blood pressure, increased risk of cardiovascular disease, for example, heart disease and stroke, changes to nerve cells, DNA and cell structure, loss of sex hormones after middle life changes, the weakening of the body's natural repair systems, and changes in the immune system. Now, with gender, women are more likely to develop Alzheimer's disease than men. This is the case even if we allow for the fact that women on average live longer than men. The reasons for this are still unclear. It is suggested that Alzheimer's disease in women is linked to a lack of the hormone estrogen after the menopause, but experiments with hormone replacement therapy, or HRT, failed to reduce the risk of developing Alzheimer's. For most dementias other than Alzheimer's disease, men and women have much the same risk. But for vascular dementia, men are actually at slightly higher risk than women. This is because men are more prone to stroke and heart disease, which can cause vascular and mixed dementia. Now, with ethnicity, there is some evidence that people from specific ethnic communities are at higher risk of dementia than others. Some people at a higher risk of stroke, heart disease, and diabetes are also at a higher dementia risk. These effects are probably down to a mix of differences in diet, smoking, exercise, and genes. With genetics, scientists have known for some time that the genes we inherit from our parents affect whether we develop certain diseases. The role of genes in the development of dementia is not yet fully understood. Researchers identified more than 20 genes that do not directly cause dementia but affect a person's risk of developing it. Having a close relative, like a parent or sibling with dementia, increases your chance of developing the disease very slightly compared to someone with no family history. Even with a family history, it does not mean that dementia is inevitable for you. Let's look at the factors we can affect and see how we can reduce our risk of dementia. Based on the latest research, here are the top tips to reduce your risk of dementia. Your risk will be lowest if you adopt a more the merrier approach. The more of those changes you adopt, the less risk you'll have. So keep physically active. Get physically active 5 times a week for at least 30 minutes. When I say active, I mean you will need to be active enough to raise your heart rate and to get out of breath. You can walk, you can cycle, you can swim, or you can join an exercise or dance group. Regular physical exercise is also good for your heart and mental well-being. Exercise like this brings health benefits even if you're not losing weight. If you don't smoke, there is never a good time to start. And if you already smoke, now is a great time to stop. By smoking, you are at a high risk of developing dementia and harming your lungs, heart, and circulations. If you want to stop smoking but struggle, try talking to your GP. They can provide help and advice about quitting smoking. A good and healthy diet has a high proportion of oily fish, fruit, vegetables, unrefined cereals, and olive oil, and low levels of red meat and sugar. Diets like this reduce your risk of dementia and heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Try to cut down on saturated fats. Yes, that means those tasty cakes, biscuits, and most cheeses, and limit sugary treats. Keep an eye on your salt intake too. Salt raises your blood pressure and risk of stroke. I suggest that you read food labels to see what's in them. You might be surprised by the nutritional content when you see it labeled healthy. When possible, seek out the healthier options. You also want to limit alcohol. When you keep your alcohol within recommended limits, and by the way, the recommendation for consumption is 14 units per week for men and women. Now, those 14 units should be spread over 3 or more days. That is pretty much the same as 4 or 5 large glasses of wine or 7 pints of beer. Regularly exceeding these weekly limits increases your dementia risk. If you find yourself struggling to cut down on what you drink, talk to your GP about what support is available. You really need to take control of your health. If you're invited for one of those regular midlife health checks at the doctor's, make sure you go. My GP does a well man's check. It's like an MOT for your body and includes a check for your blood pressure, weight, and cholesterol. These are all linked to dementia and conditions that are substantial risk factors for dementia like heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. If you're already living with one of these long-term conditions, follow professional advice about medicines and lifestyle. It's also great to stick to a good weight. Keeping to a healthy weight will reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes, stroke, and heart disease, and probably of dementia. An excellent place to start is to follow the advice on exercise and diet. Keep a diary of your food intake and exercise for each day, and remember that alcohol contains hidden calories. Joining a local weight loss group may help if you struggle to stick to a healthy weight. However, if you tried to make changes without success, then your GP can also offer advice. And you want to exercise your brain. Give your brain a daily workout, and that should be a really vigorous workout. More straightforward mental activities such as reading, word searches, or crosswords don't have the same benefits as more challenging ones. Learning something new, maybe a new and challenging card game, a martial art, or another language is excellent. If you can keep your mind active, you are likely to reduce your risk of dementia. There is a bit of less evidence, but keeping socially engaged and having a good social network may also reduce your dementia risk. Visit people or have them visit you, join a club, or volunteer. Whatever it takes for you to be social. If you're interested in more health tips, then look at my website. You can also register for the free webinar that will help you prioritize what is important and help you get more of the important stuff done. Until we meet again, get out there each and every single day and be outstanding.